Welcome into Week 17, final home game of the Texans' 2022 campaign. You're looking live at the quarterbacks plural, taking the field. Davis Mills and Jeff Driscoll now warming up for the Texans game. They're hoping to extend that 9-game win streak against a Jaguars team that controls its destiny to get into the playoffs. We'll get you ready for today's game with the top storylines and answer fan questions. Texans Unlimited Live, presented by Verizon, starts now.
Welcome to our coverage of Houston Texans football.
Keep it real simple. Play pass and shoot.
Let's go, Texans! Let's go!
Welcome into Texans Unlimited Live, presented by Verizon. I'm DP Sidhu along with my good friend Drew Doherty. We're going to close out the 2022 home game campaign for you, but it is January 1st, and the Texans have gotten a little bit of life in recent weeks. They hope to keep, like I said, that 9-game win streak going, and what a way to show your fan appreciation than to get another win at home.
That would be
First
nice.
win.
Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to all of you guys watching, guys and gals. The Texans were a little frisky last week in the cold weather, getting the victory against a Titans team that, they kind of want to sew things up, and that win against Tennessee put their season, or at least their postseason hopes, in jeopardy. So a lot's riding on this game for the Jaguars. So Texans want to play spoiler, want to get a win, want to get good game action on film, on tape, so they can get brought back or they can sign with another team. This is a very, very important game for everyone involved today.
Final 3 games of the season
Yeah.
against AFC South teams. Right now, the Texans are 2-1-1 in the division, which looks pretty good from where they're at. Let's get into some of your quick hits presented by BMW. In the last 2 games, Davis Mills has thrown 3 touchdowns. He's rushed for 1 in that game against Kansas City. And with the 2-quarterback system, the Texans offense has seen quite a bit of production. It's benefited the whole team, Davis Mills says.
Yeah, I think we're in a really good spot right now. Past couple of weeks, we've been playing at a high level with a chance to win all 3 games. Obviously, we won this most recent one versus the Titans, but we feel like we're at a really good spot. All 3 phases are clicking, and we're excited for another opportunity this upcoming Sunday at home.
The Texans may have beaten the Jaguars in Week 5, but since then, Trevor Lawrence has been on a tear in his last 7 games. He's thrown 14 touchdowns, rushed for 2, only thrown 1 pick, and head coach Lovie Smith said, it's a different Trevor Lawrence we're going to see today.
Trevor Lawrence has been a good football player for a long period of time, and as far as what he's done differently, he probably protected the football a little bit better, but he's mobile. He's mobile right now. He'll take the ball off and get a first down when things break down. He can make all of the throws he could last time we played. Competitor, all those things you see. ETN has gotten better. They've been productive with him catching the ball and running the football. So the offensive line has to have been an Ingram, tight end. Difference, his play. He's had an outstanding year.
Well, the Texans are still flying high after their big win against the Titans. On the final Titans offensive series, Tremon Smith down to punt at the 4-yard line. He was given a game ball for his play in last week's game, and special teams coordinator Frank Ross had high praise for his kick returner and special teams ace.
Yeah, I'll get some flack for this. Tremon, in my opinion, is the best all-around athlete on our football team. And I'll go ahead and start some debates with those guys in there if they do hear me say that. Baseball player, hooper, can catch, can throw, can run, all that good stuff. So the athleticism part has been where he's able to take advantage. He's not this biggest, strongest guy, but he can run, and he has some good wiry athleticism. So it's helped him make those plays. He made a big one at Jacksonville, if you remember, on the ball checking into the end zone, and he kind of got his butt to the goal line and was able to bat it back, and Grayland downed it. And then we saw that last week in the biggest clutch moment of the game, 96 yards with minute 10 to go for them. That's not really much more you can ask for. And he'll tell you his best man, his setup man, his John Stockton has been Cam. So, with the assist and putting that thing with hang and location. So, so far it's been good. Just love the way those guys come to work. Big smile on his face, and need him to continue to do that for 2 more weeks here.
Best all-around athlete,
High
Frank
praise,
Ross says
yeah.
about Tremon Smith. I asked him about that. Also, Cameron Johnston, the punter, we cannot neglect to say what he's been able to do in the punting game, because he sure has been pinning those punts deep, and him and Tremon, quite a duo the two of them have made.
Oh, they've been fantastic. You know, that it's tough to point out good things that have happened in a 12-loss season, but the special teams play, they've brought it. They've not been a 12-loss special teams unit. They've been fantastic. And like you say, with Cameron Johnston, consistently doing a really good job of getting the ball pinned inside the 20-yard line, DP.
All right, well, let's get into some of the inactives for today against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, it's not too crazy a list. Quarterback Kyle Allen not going to play again. So Texans are going to roll with the two-quarterback system. You'll see Driscoll. You'll see Mills. You might see one start. You might see the other come right in on the second series. You might see both of them in on offense at the same time.
Love it.
Yeah, those guys aren't going to go. Tegan Cotoriano had the injury, the knee injury. He's not going to be able to make it, so he's done for today. You see the other names there. No Booker, which means Mario Addison is going to be active. And Jimmy Morrissey, he is in the concussion protocol. No Kobe Francis either. So nothing too notable there as far as the names you see. And over on the other side, we don't normally get into inactives and all that stuff, but you're going to see Trevor Lawrence today. You will see Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, they had a long list of questionables.
Long list of guys. I mean, Lawrence didn't practice on Wednesday,
right,
which that's usually a pretty bad sign for a guy, but he's going today. He's got a lot to play for. You know, some have said, oh, well, this game doesn't matter to the Jags. It doesn't matter because, you know, it matters what they do next week. Well, if the Jags were to lose this game, or win this game and lose next week, there's still a path into the playoffs for them.
Yeah.
Stuff has to happen for them, but they don't want to put anything up to chance.
They want to control their destiny.
They want to win this week. They want to beat the Titans next week for the quote-unquote AFC South championship game.
Yeah, and missing from your inactives list, Titus Howard and Kenyon
He's
Green.
back.
So it'll
They're
be
back.
good to see a very healthy O-line against this Jags team. Let's get into some of your questions presented by Daikin. What are people asking about for this Week 17 matchup? Jabari in Miami says, can we expect a little Mills-Driscoll game plan today?
Yeah, you're going to see that, and you're definitely going to get more of the same, more of what's gone on the last few weeks. It's been a spark. You know, they started doing it in Dallas. It kind of took the Cowboys off guard. So, yes, you will see those two play. We don't know what the split will be. You and I and John Harris were joking about it on Texans Extra Points this week, which you can watch on YouTube. But we said, what's the split going to be? I think you went with, 60-40-ish around about there, which I think is a good guess.
With 10% of both of them on the field at the same time. I do enjoy that.
Absolutely legit. I could totally see that happening. You know, we got a question from Alex, and Alex wants to know what good things can the Texans take from their win last week and implement today versus the Jags. You just touched on the special teams play, what they were able to do down in a punt inside the 5, big. Getting takeaways, I mean, that's what this team has done really, really well, the Texans, the last month. They've got 8 combined takeaways. They've been +2 in turnover differential in a few of these last few games. So keep doing that. Keep getting the ball back from the opponent, and good things will happen. They did it. They were +2 when these two teams met back in Week 5, but as you mentioned, there's a lot of differences on the defense in particular for the Texans.
Yeah, I think what the Texans were able to do last week, I think you hit it perfectly. The takeaways, getting pressure on the quarterback, and if they can keep doing that and getting themselves in good field position. I liked what the defense did last week again, you know, with the D-line. You saw Jonathan Grenard back there. He was getting after it as well. So they'll get their chance against Trevor Lawrence today, and it's a banged-up O-line for the Jags. We talk about a healthy Texans offensive line. They're out without their starting left tackle, who's on IR. So hopefully this defense can get after it today. Jordan wants to know, what kind of impact does John Grenard bring to the defense now that he's back? I think we saw it in the run game a little bit against Derrick Henry, and I think it just adds more depth to a D-line where we've seen a lot of rotation. It'll be good to see Grenard in the mix there.
No doubt. 2 weeks ago, he kind of dipped his toes back in the water, coming back. He'd missed a lot of time. I think week 3 or 4 was his previous game before he'd had that stretch where he was out. Then last week, he made an impact. You know, he had that tackle for loss where it looked like he'd been shot out of a cannon and got Derrick Henry. He was frisky in the backfield, and I hate to use that word frisky too much, but he was getting after a lot of the quarterback last week in Tennessee.
Had a fumble recovery as well early in the game.
Yeah,
so
and if he keeps making incremental steps, that's only better for this Texans defense. Plus, Mario Addison, his first game of the year with the Texans was at Jacksonville, so he was kind of getting used to things. He's back today. That'll be good. He's got a lot of experience under his belt. And Christian Harris, number 48, that guy's been a monster in the middle and just keeps getting better and better and better. They didn't see him, the Jaguars, this time back in Week 5. And on top of all that, Jalen Petre's playing free safety, and he's playing phenomenally.
All right. Taylor says, what's the best way to limit Trevor Lawrence? I touched on a little bit earlier with their left tackle, Cam Robinson, out of the lineup. I think if you can take advantage of that matchup one-on-one, that'd be great. But I think the best way is just to make him uncomfortable.
No doubt.
Force some turnovers. That's something he does not do very well. He was doing it earlier in the year, but like I said, last 7 games, only 1 interception. But if you can do that, I think if you can make him uncomfortable. Now, Travis Etienne does fumble the ball quite a bit. So if you can force some takeaways that way, and just really don't let them extend their drives on 3rd down.
Yeah, and you got to limit Etienne. He was having his way with the Texans, and for some reason the Jaguars went away from him in that last game.
Robinson.
They should not have done that. But we just saw a moment ago, number 55, Jerry Hughes. He leads his team in sacks. He was kind of breaking down the defense and getting things ready. But you saw him. You saw Obo Okoronkwo, who's playing fantastic over the last month or so. Get those guys after the quarter, but get those guys after Trevor Lawrence, and that'll make things tough on their signal caller there.
All right, we've mentioned a lot of players, Drew, but let's get into our sleeper of the game presented by Mattress Firm. I'll let you go first. Who's your sleeper?
I'm going to go with Harris just because the Jaguars just did not see him last time. He came back and played about 2 weeks later after the bye, and he's been one of the engines of this defense. We talk about Malik Collins. He's always going to be a sleeper. When you're an interior defensive lineman, you're always going to be a sleeper. But kind of stepping one level back to the linebacking core, let's see what Christian Harris can do. He's going to be important. You brought up Etienne, and that was a very good point. He's going to have a lot to say about the success that Etienne has today.
All right, I'm going to go offense.
Okay.
I'm going to go a guy that we've really gotten to know and like over the last few weeks, Chris Moore. He's been so solid on offense. I think that this Jaguars secondary might have its weak spots, so I'd like to see Chris Moore have a big game and get a lot of points, a lot of touchdowns on the board against a Jaguars team that can put up a lot of points.
Chris Moore is as dependable as they get. So, yeah, I like that choice. Chris Moore, excellent selection by you, DP.
All right, so we've got about 37 minutes until kickoff. You can catch it on Sports Radio 610. You can also catch it on CBS. That's going to do it for our portion of the pregame show. Texans Unlimited Live presented by Verizon. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourselves a great game day. And as always, go Texans. And Happy New Year.